We may have to adjust our objective in this conflict. Delorum may be lost.
Welcome back, I'm Ryan from Blue Gaming, and today I'm giving my thoughts on Extinction. Now, before we get into this, there's two things that you need to know. First off, I did receive a code to review this game for you guys, but you'll understand why that didn't make much of a difference for me. And two, this review's late because they didn't get the code to me until mere hours before the game released, and so yeah, that's why it's this late, but that's kind of understandable because they wanted to get all those day one sales, and reviews in this case definitely weren't going to help that. Like, what were they thinking? This is a indie game by an indie developer who has a publisher that's never published a game before, and they're trying to sell it for $60. What are you doing? At most, this is a $10 to $15 game. There's maybe 8-hour-long campaign, and then you have technically endless missions, but they're going to get boring pretty quickly because you essentially do the same thing every single time. You fight giant ogres called Ravini, and you try to defeat them before they completely destroy the city. Occasionally you'll have other objectives like protect X number of citizens or other things like that, but it's essentially just fighting these Ravini. And you think fighting ogres that are like 20 stories tall would be kind of cool? Well, somehow they figured out a way to make it boring. See, cutting off their limbs is something that you can do, but you do it in a single cut, and it's quite easy to do, so there's no challenge in it. They add challenge by adding armor to these Ravini, and to defeat each kind of armor, you have to do a different thing. Like, for the first type of armor that you'll find is wood armor, and all you have to do is hit it once with your special strike. Then above that, they have a slightly more armored version that's some sort of iron. On that, all you have to do is hit a lock twice, and then the armor piece is able to be broken. Then above that is gold, where it has either 2 or 4 locks, depending on where the armor piece is, and then you just break those locks, and then break the armor piece. And then above that, there is an unbreakable armor that you have to deal with occasionally. But, yeah, so it's essentially fighting the same thing over and over again, doing the same strategies over and over again, and there's not really much to it. Like, it's the same thing over and over, and it gets boring within an hour or two. Before I got bored, I got about 2.5 hours into it, and then it started to really feel the same. And since the big thing is fighting these Ravini, you'd hope that that would be at least ironed out and kind of perfect, but they managed to kind of mess that up as well. See, you can get instantly killed by them if they attack you in any way, shape, or form, whether that be stomp on you, swat you with their hands, hit you with any of their weapons. Essentially, if they do anything to you, they will kill you. And that's fine for when you're starting out, but they give you the ability to get health upgrades that don't do anything against them. Like, these are the main things that you're going to be fighting against, and you can spend a lot of the in-game unlocks to get more health, and it doesn't do anything against them. They always one-shot you. So that is kind of annoying. Then the other thing that you can do with them is you can climb on them. The problem is the climbing doesn't work too well, and most of the time you'll end up getting like stuck on their chests or around their arms. And so if you're not climbing right up their spine, it can get a little tricky to actually get up to their back where you have to be to chop off their head. So that's kind of unfortunate. Then besides that, there are also smaller enemies in the game. I'm forgetting the name of them right now, but there are smaller, like goblins or imps or something. There's special, several different kinds of them. You essentially do the same thing to all of them. You just do different attacks, and they have a whole different set of combos that you can do against these enemies, all with a single button. But since you really don't ever have to fight them, you really just avoid them as much as you can, because they just slow you down, and each of these missions are artificially timed because the Reveni will just destroy whatever city you're protecting. So yeah, you have that going on, which just puts you back to the Reveni, which I've already stated is kind of a boring fight. So this isn't looking too good as an indie game either, but I'd still say that it's not like terrible for $10, but they didn't put the price tag at $10. No, this is a full $60 game that has an 8-hour campaign, a daily mission that's just randomly generated. Then you can do actually randomly generated missions called skirmishes, and then that's about it. Now the campaign isn't randomly generated. It does have set levels and set enemies and whatnot. There is 24 missions, I believe. 28, somewhere like that. There's 7 acts with 4 missions each, and it's 2 in the morning, so I can't do math. But yeah, so the campaign is roughly 8 hours, and you're going to be just fighting harder and harder Reveni, and like some of the missions are even randomly generated on what the objectives are. So yeah, that definitely shows that it didn't put that much effort into it. So yeah, this is kind of a easy game to review and give a final verdict on. Of just wait. It's gonna go on sale, because they're definitely not going to be able to sell enough copies of this game at $60. And when it drops down to like the $5, $10, $15 price range, depending on how much you really want to fight giant ogres, then you can pick it up somewhere around that price. But at $60, definitely avoid this game like the plague. It is an indie game made by an indie developer, published by a studio that's never published a game before. Just wait for it to go down in price, because $60 is outrageous for this thing, and just leaves a bad taste in my mouth the whole time that I'm playing this. And I'm just glad that I didn't actually pay for this. I'm glad that I got a review copy, because geez, I would be pissed if I bought this for full price. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this. This is pretty simple, with that one giant issue of the price tag. So yeah, like I said, this is gonna be it. As always, I'm Ryan from Blue Wood Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.